Hi, Jewish Mom. So Purim is next week, and I'm sure that all of you are working hard getting ready for Purim. And I heard a story this past Shabbat from my husband, a story about the Baal Shem Tov. I thought this was a perfect story for us to keep in mind with Purim coming up and Pesach a month after Purim, with all the work that we have to do. So this is the story. So the Baal Shem Tov, he would smoke a pipe. So that at that time, in however many, I think in the 17th century, so there were two kinds of tobacco. There was a kind of tobacco which was considered 100% kosher, and there's a kind of tobacco that had certain additives which were considered, from a kosher point of view, questionable. The thing is that you smoke tobacco, you don't eat it. So really, halachically, it doesn't really matter whether you use the pure kosher one or the one that's questionable. But the Baal Shem Tov, being the Baal Shem Tov, he took on the added stringency of making sure to always smoke the kosher tobacco, the fully kosher tobacco. But one time, somebody gave him some tobacco, and after he'd smoked it, he realized he had smoked the questionably kosher tobacco. And the Baal Shem Tov was so upset, and he really got down about it, and he really, really got down about how he had smoked the non-kosher tobacco. And it took him a while he was like in this for a while and sit down and kind of beating himself up about how he had smoked the questionably kosher tobacco. But then he realized something. He realized that, smoking only strictly kosher tobacco is a stringency, it's a chumrah. And living one's life with joy, serving Hashem with joy, was something that for him was like a basic mitzvah. His great-grandson, the Rabbi Nachman, had this famous expression, mitzvah gdola liov b'simcha tamid. It's a big mitzvah to always be joyful. And that was the way that was like the teaching, that came from the philosophy of the Baal Shem Tov, like how important, so the Baal Shem Tov realized, okay, I'm letting this stringency make me miserable, and basically it's making it so that by keeping stringency means like I'm breaking what the Baal Shem Tov considered a basic mitzvah, serving Hashem with joy. So coming up to Purim, okay? So we all know, like, there's so much that we're doing to get ready, like with the costumes and with the mishloach manot and preparing, and with the meal and getting ready for like the nice meal that we're going to prepare for everyone, and all the different things that we're going to do. Like, it's all of like that. But I just wanted to before we do this, before Purim, before we're 2 weeks before we fully are in a full speed getting ready for Purim. I just wanted to remind all of us. I looked up this morning, what are the basic mitzvahs of Purim? What's the basic minimum of what we have to do? Okay, I found this information on Chabad.org. Okay, so basically, the basic mitzvah is to hear the Megillah during the night and during the day of Purim, to send one mishloach manot, one shalach manis. That's one mishloach manot that contains 2 portions of food. For example, cake and wine. Okay, just one. And after that, and also you have to have some sort of suda Purim, some sort of festive meal. And you need to give matanot levyonim to 2 poor people. The matanot levyonim, 2 presents for the poor, can be either food or money for 2 people. Okay, so that means that anything that you do on top of that, involving costumes, involving mishloach manot, which are how elaborate you make them, how many you make them, what kind of theme or you invest in whatever to make these mishloach manot, your suda, how fancy it is, how many people you invite, what kind of desserts you prepare, all the various things that you do on top of the basic mitzvah. I think it's really important for us to think, wait, am I doing this at the expense of my happiness, at the expense of my family's happiness, my child's happiness, my husband's happiness, so I just want us to keep that in mind. And I think that there are people like I knew someone in my old neighborhood in Nachlod, and she was a fashion designer, a Haredi fashion designer in a popular Israeli store. If you've heard of Tamnun, the popular Israeli store for all Israelis, I'm sure you've heard of it. So she was a fashion designer for them. So her love, what she loved doing was making these incredibly elaborate Purim costumes for her, and every year it was just amazing. And her sukkah was like a work of art. It was like something from a museum with she brought red velvet, and it was incredible. And so that for her that brought her great joy. But I think for a lot of us, it's possible that we get so worked up about the extras, so worked up about the, let's say, chumras that we make up for ourselves, that I must do this in terms of Mishlach Manot. I must give to this amount of people. It must be up to this standard. I must have all of my costumes must be up to this standard. Even my infant who doesn't notice even my infant who doesn't notice it's even Purim, but I have to, and the Suda has to be up to a certain standard. And of course, this dessert and that dessert, and this kind of meat and that kind of meat, and this kind of appetizer, and this and set the table all fancy. It's possible that there are people who this would bring them great joy. It's possible that there are other people, that there are other women out there who, because of the stringency that they've taken upon themselves, that they are missing the mitzvah, missing the joy of Purim on the day of Purim, and the joy of serving Hashem with joy before Purim. So in conclusion, I shared the story of the Baal Shem Tov, that the Baal Shem Tov realized that he by accident had smoked questionably kosher tobacco, and he realized that, and he was getting really down on himself about this, getting really down that he had done this, but he realized, wait, I'm letting a stringency ruin what I consider to be a real mitzvah, which is serving Hashem with joy. Mitzvah gdola liot b'simcha tamid. I'm letting the stringency overpower, ruin what I consider to be a basic mitzvah. And so I hope that us too, as we approach Purim, and I'm sure I'm going to give you another talk about this as we get closer to Pesach. Are we letting the mitzvah, our top priority of living with joy and serving Hashem with joy and being a joyful mother and being a joyful person, being a joyful wife and joyful and relaxed home manager and mother, etc. Are we letting that be overpowered by stringencies which we take upon ourselves, like the extras of Purim? Is it creating, we need to do this equation? Is what we're about to do, is it going to bring more joy to us, to our families, to those around us? Is it going to bring more joy to them, or less, because we're stressed and crabby and grouchy because of all the stringencies all the Jewish mom stringencies which we've taken upon ourselves. And on that note, I want to bless all the Jewish moms with an amazing, amazing week.